Dear Africa Ligozindal Africa, which is literally translated as Africa from the perspective of an African, is a book that I wrote. One of the way that I can contribute to you knowing better Africa will be to do something. And when I started that time, the idea that came to my mind was to write something that could be useful to them in trying to understand Africa. So that's where the idea of writing the book came. The book is about Africa, but now I just don't want to say the book is about Africa and go on. One of the stereotypes, that we usually encounter, with people that try to talk about Africa but do not know about the continent, is them, seeing the continent of Africa as a kind of whole or a kind of big something where nothing is different from the other. They taking all the African continent as a whole, which is actually making things complicated when they're trying to understand how things works in Africa. So, for example, you're gonna see people asking you on the street if there is water in Africa. They're asking you if you have cars, if you have vehicles, if you have internet in Africa. And these kind of questions actually bring us, to the real interrogation. Which kind of African are you talking about? So these are actually some kind of stereotypes, that have been developed as a result of the way the Western media have portrayed Africa for a long time. Every time that they try to show Africa from their perspective, they always focus on bad things, which is why internationally Africa is known as a continent where we only have, hunger, civil war, internal conflict, and any kind of disaster that can exist in this world. We cannot just have witnessed something in one country and suppose that this is how all the African country is. The African continent is made of 54 countries, which of them has their specificities that actually differentiate them from the other countries. If some of the African countries are having problems, it is because of different causes. We might talk about the neocolonialism. We might talk about the bad governance, and maybe we can also talk about imperialism. So these are actually things that I try to explain them. If this country is facing such issue in Africa and is not or seem to not be developing, it is because of those problems. So if you want to say that, a country in Africa is not developed, you shouldn't just see it as, the result of the laziness of its people. Right now, we are having the opportunity to tell our story from our point of view. In writing this, I tried as much as possible to give what I consider being the fundamentals, for understanding the African continent from a cultural point of view, from a socio-economic point of view, and from a political point of view.